you had a short session about distributed change management. What is it all about?
So,
what's the outcome?
Within my group, and I'd like to thank them all for their contributions, it was a really interesting discussion. We talked about the difference between, firstly, the kind of change that you can own, so the kind of change that's very close to you, that you can control, that you can have true oversight over. The type of change that you can manage, so that you have a reasonable amount of input into and ability to work on. And then the much more important and larger bucket, most probably, of the kinds of change that you can influence. And we talked about some of the tools and techniques which you can use to influence change within the organisation. We talked about the importance of owning the framework for change, but not necessarily the individual change actions. The need to push those down into business units who can own the change, who can make the change on the ground every day using small steps. And we talked about the need to be quite granular in our change actions so that individuals are not overwhelmed by the changes we're asking them to make on a regular basis. So the aim is to make change routine rather than a big top-down program that we need to be part of all the time. So we talked about some specific techniques. We talked about working out loud, which I won't say any more about because that would be a bit rude. We talked about leveraging change agent networks, so recruiting energized individuals from across the business who can help you in selling the change locally and communicating the change locally and helping their own business units through the change. And we also talked about the need to help people use storytelling techniques to explain within a wider context of the organisation how their small change project or their large change project fits into the wider digital transformation that the organisation is trying to achieve.
Great. Thank you. Yes. So let's come to the next topic from back of the room. So Amaury, you were talking about
so we were in the back.
process.
So we were working on levers for developing collaboration and starting from the physical world and see what would apply and what would not apply into the digital world. So we looked obviously at the water cooler. We look at it every day, but we wanted to look at it differently also, whether we could have a progression in the relationship that we're building digitally, because most of the time, very often we have collaboration, we collaborate with people that we've never seen before, we've never seen in person, I would say, and then there's a trust issue, and how can we build this trust, so probably having some progression in the relationship and not jumping directly to the collaboration phase. So going through different steps like networking, then coordination, then cooperation, then collaboration. So I'm not going to detail all of those steps, but that was one part. Another one was we wanted to discuss and see which kind of problems are best solved online and which kind of problems are best solved offline. So when you actually need to meet people and when you can actually do this distantly online. Obviously, the first part of the relationship for the trust building is one case, but also we had the discussion around the blue collars versus white collars. Blue collars are most of them are not knowledge workers and therefore not very accustomed to this kind of tools. So there's an issue there. Then also we had a small survey at the beginning, how many emails everybody gets. So there's one lucky guy who got only 20 emails a day, so congratulations to him. Some of them got up to 200, so that's a little more difficult, so there's some room for improvement there. And there was one interesting study that was done, I think it was Decathlon, was it? Or where he actually did an extraction of all the Exchange, Microsoft Exchange, used a tool called Splunk, and came up with the little data. And for example, 10% of the employees got more than 100 emails a day. So that was interesting information, I think, to share.
Great, thank you, Amaury de Buchet. Yes, give a warm applause, please. So now we come to this group from the Working Out Loud session.
Yes. This is people from Robert Bosch, Vinci Group, Evonik, and I'm from Kluwer Training. We were talking about working out loud. In fact, we were talking about the 5 steps of working out loud. And in fact, the most interesting question, I think, is why the hell do we talk about working out loud in this conference? What are the most heard resistances against working out loud, and how can you make working out loud a success in your company? But I would like to listen to the people who were part of the group.
Yeah, we started with a kind of a definition. Where did the term come from? And the term was coined, I guess, in 2010 by Bryce Williams from Lilly.
Yes.
And he defined it as working out loud is on one point narrative work, like telling of what you are doing, where you are. And he added, in addition, the observable work, and this is basically your document that you would normally have shared after it's perfect, but now you share it after it's 30% perfect to get a feedback from your network. And John Stepper actually last year issued a book. He's from Deutsche Bank, or he was with Deutsche Bank, and he recently left. And John Stepper basically enhanced this with 5 steps, with 5 steps of working out loud, which was reflecting something at work and then translating this into text, video, or whatever you wanted. Share it with your network, and now I'm losing it here. And while sharing, build your personal network and extend your network and get into a mode of a kind of a self-management.
In order to do a working out loud methodology, you need to require, but also by doing it, you help yourself get in new skills, which are confidence, generosity, communication skills, positive way of talking about your work in progress, not being afraid of judgment or failure because you're sharing your work, that your ongoing work. You get continuous feedback, so you need to manage that and reorganize your way of working. And you get listening skills, more of listening skills. So you gain more than you are required to do working out loud. Also, what we talked about is the resistance factors or arguments that you can face while you're doing that. Or when you're pushing your team or your co-workers to work out loud, most of them are, I don't have time, I'm not in control of the information that I'm sharing. What I could share that it's really interesting, this is related to not being self-confident about sharing your work during its, when it's still ongoing, and what it's the benefits of sharing this my work when it's not done yet. So this is the key factors of resistance, or the key arguments that we have against this methodology, and maybe you can share the key factors.
Is this one? Just what you yeah, I would say. I will read everything now. We had the discussion, or we had some question if it is the same to start really with a small group, so a circle of 4 persons, or to do it because it was the introduction from Isabel really to change an organization, a company. And we had no time really to discuss about this, but only to share my experience. We have started at Bosch with working out loud with really 2 motivated persons. We brought this book and we really invited John Stepper to come to our company. And now we have more, I don't know the current figure because it's really changing very quick, more than 200 circles started. Currently, roughly 50 circles ongoing worldwide. So started from Germany, but then it's extended really to worldwide. And what we see, the people in these circles, we are used to share this knowledge, are doing maybe with their network, then they get confident and they share with really the whole community we have at Bosch, or the community over Facebook or over Twitter. So it gets really a new habit that the people share something not ready, really a concept, an idea, a sketch, to get an early feedback. So I really think it's important for us in our agile transformation.
Just one last thing. What is really cool about working out loud is that it's a very concrete way to change individuals, to make individuals stronger, and then also to make the organization stronger. I was thinking about the soft skills that people need to survive in the digital age, and it's about being an intrapreneur, about being an agile learner, about participating in learning ecosystems. And so I think that working out loud is just a way to go towards this new mindset and these new soft skills that are necessary in the future.
Great, thank you. Thank you to the group. So last but not least, Dörte.
Thank you.
All about digital leadership.
Yes, first of all, thank you for the group. We had a very interesting discussion about digital leadership and the problem that some leaders might have today to act up as digital leaders. So we jumped into the reasons behind that situation. And well, we found out sometimes that there might be different reasons, but first of all, we found that it could be a lack of vision towards the digital future. It could be a kind of risk averseness, and it could be a fear of change. And after discussing these three topics, we reflected on the role of the leaders and why they came to their position. And they came to their position not because they have been very innovative or technology leaders, but because they could execute, because they've been good in controlling and managing their way up from the hierarchy. So they might have role problems. Yeah. Another point was the question that they might having problems with the fact that they don't get what it's in for them. So what is the reward for them to act up as digital leaders? So sometimes they don't see it and have problems in acting and finding themselves in their new roles. I just have to see if I forgot something. No. Then we went on to the solution part. And first of all, we found out that we still need to train or coach our digital leaders or our leaders a little bit. So digital mentoring or reverse mentoring could be a first start to give them a head start of knowledge and know-how. And we also worked out that a work-related training concerning their actual strategic work and how to do this with new forms of technology and digital collaboration tools would be appropriate. Then we had a little bit of Machiavelli here, a little bit of greed and fear and executive competition could also be a nice thing to promote the digital leadership. And last not least, we had the great proposition to bring the executives outside, to learn from other companies, to learn from their competitors, or to learn from conferences.
Great. Thank you, Dörte.